sharing the office today, which means that one or the other of us can't have our speaker / mic on. So she has told me that she has nothing to report and that we're going to start, and we're recording right now.
No, we're not having class next week.
Oh, wait. So the no part, all right. The no part was no class next week because we have guests that we're going to be working with intensely.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. We were going through Heriades last time we were together, and we ran out of time, and we were looking at the males. So I've got a leavitti on deck. We talked about the carinata or carinatus. Again, I didn't look up what John Asher's was our master for taxonomic names, which everyone can use. It's on the Discover Life page. He has his own species page there, and we look up synonyms and things there all the time. So it's either carinata or carinatus. I've seen both. Anyway, that one we've gone through, and now we're going to share, and you should have Mike's Heriades key up. How do you pronounce that, Mike? Heriades. I pronounce it Heriades. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. Other people I've heard pronounce it different ways, as the case for many species.
Yeah, as long as you spell it right. I don't have a problem with it.
Is it genus or genus?
Genus to me.
Yeah, genus to a lot of people.
Hmm.
Okay, so now you should see my calendar, and now we're going to jump over to, well, we'll just show the picture because it's already decked up right now. So we're looking at leavitti, and remember S1 is where a lot of the action is. And in both Mike and Discover Life keys, we're going to be looking at S1, which is here, and it's mounded over, but it doesn't have that old lady's bonnet and a cliff face on the front of it that carinata has. It's just a low mound pitted everywhere, and it comes to a point. It's not truncate, so carinata carinatus has a straight line across there. But now and this is the only way I think both Mike and I agree on this, that we can tell the difference between leavitti and variolosis is in the males. The females we're mystified by. So when you're looking at this angle, and this is an absolutely oblique to or absolutely straight down at right angles to, would that be oblique? No. This is obtuse, and in variolosis, it's going to be roughly 90-degree, maybe even acute. And I've got that species too. Additionally, from what I've noticed, and I'd be curious whether you think of this, Mike, too, often there's hairs at the tip here in leavitti and not any hairs in variolosis.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, variolosis, it just comes to a sharp point, at least the ones in the Midwest, and dramatically different from leavitti. But again, like we said last week, a lot of times it's really hard to get a good clean look because the abdomens curl under, and it can be a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one up on deck. I have a male, and we'll take a look at that. And then I think your key has a couple other characters to talk about too, which you want to talk about them right now while I'm decking things up? Or is that, am I mistaking that for something else?
Well, yeah, the hidden sternites and the genitalia are very different between those two, but it's, again, you have to prepare them to see that, but it's, they're quite different. And But since since you usually can't see that without preparation, it's just S1 that you need to look at. One is
Well,
to me, one is dull and one is pointed. What do you
yeah.
got there?
This is just the abdomen, which fell off the specimen very nicely. I've got it on a card here. It's called the label, and we'll get to see this in an unusually clear manner.
Which species is that?
This is variolosa. Again, I can't remember.
Both of those end in the A.
Okay, variolosa. All right, so let me bring it down. What would be nice sometime is we can find someone. I know you don't have this, Mike, but you should get it for Christmas, which is one of these kinds of scopes that we can look at online, and then you can show us all your interesting tips and skills on dissecting out genitalia and opening mandibles. I think that would be, we don't do that, so we're really incompetent at that, or someone else can do it who has one of these scopes. I wonder if Rob does.
Don't know.
Yeah,
I think so. I think he does. Oh, that's
okay.
Good. That shows a nice
Yeah,
sharp
so
point.
here we go. Orientation again. You can see even in this, the abdomen here it's just naturally cups at the back end. And so here are the tergites actually bent over, and in worst possible cases, I guess as protection, it can completely curl over and you have an armored little ball.
Right, Brent? Pointer bigger.
Oh, pointer bigger. Okay, sorry. Let me do that. There we go. Forgot about that one. Okay. Right, there we go. So here is the attachment to the thorax. This is all S1 here. Here's the outline, the rim of S1. This area, you can't tell from this shot, is mounded, and we're looking at the fact that this is roughly at right angles, and perhaps is acute if we actually were to measure that, but it's going to be roughly, and it's very pointed looking. And then this area here has fewer, so this is, basic my observations. So there's no real white hairs down there, and there are also fewer, I'll say fewer pits, slightly fewer pits. There's some spacing, and then there is also, it's pretty glossy. So there's not a lot of shagreening or tessellation or microscopic lines there. So Mike.
Yeah, I mean,
Take it away.
That's it in a nutshell, Sam.
Okay.
But I mean, the good point. The point is that we can see this so clearly because the abdomen is off the specimen, and you turned it upside down, and it's usually not. It's not that straightforward. But that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and if you don't have that, all well, actually, you don't. I'm not sure you can. Well, you have some. Am I thinking of Chelostoma, or you have some labral characters? We're going to flip to your key, but I think people should not, if you're pulling genitalia, you can also do things. This was done by accident, and it's not standard practice, but let's say you can't see it, and now you don't have very many specimens, you can snap the abdomen off and glue it to the label or add an additional card. That's, you're not going to jail for that. So, and then you can see
and
that.
If specific species level ID is important, you might have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you really want to get down there, or you can just leave it as this, one of two species. Okay, let me get to that's Chelostoma. There's your Heriades. Let me zoom level this up to say 200%. Okay, so we're in the male area here. I think basically we covered this. You have this cressoni down here. Do you want to talk about at the male? You talk about a tubercle on S1 instead of that. Like, describe that tubercle, I guess, is what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
if you did have those two side by side, in lateral view, S1 in leavitti is, when I say convex, it's going gently. There's no pronounced peak or anything. It's just kind of a gentle rise and fall. With cressoni, S1 is more as a more tubercle appearance. It's not a nice smooth convexity. It's got a kind of a chunk on top of it. And then S1 is not pointed or rounded. It's really just like in the case of carinatus, it's just cut off, truncate. And then the other thing is,
yeah.
Okay. And the other thing is the labrum. And again, it's not always easy to see the labrum, but there's a tubercle there, and two smaller ones on either, one on either side of the bigger one. So it's very different. It looks very different from all the other ones.
If you had not flicked open the mandibles, could you at all see these tubercles or not?
Yeah, unless there's a lot of regurgitant or something like that. Yeah, I think you can. You have to crank up the mag and look a little hard, but yeah, I think you can tell that there, in one case, one there's nothing there, and then the other cressoni there is. So that it'll show up enough that you would recognize it.
Okay.
Again, cressoni is Western. I mean, we don't have any records from Midwest, but because these things are cavity nesters, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't know for lots of reasons. I was working on the Maryland bees and came across the Nomata addenda again, which the nearest records are Kansas and Nebraska. It was collected 100 years ago in an area where a bunch of this kind of stuff shows up. Super sandy, would have been extremely open back in the day, and it was on a train line. So the Smithsonian biologists probably took their family and dumped them at the beach, and they would, this is on the Chesapeake Bay though, end of the Patuxent River outflow, and came back with a bunch of really cool specimens, and this was one of them, of several, which I've not seen. Others we've been able to refound. This is a one-off.
Sam, I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
The tubercles are different on the labrum of the male than on the female?
So tubercles present on the female in cressoni.
I'm trying to remember. Yes, they are. Yep.
Oh yeah, showing there too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think they're more conspicuous to me in the male, but they're in both sexes.
Yep. If there's no other questions about Heriades, we'll go to Chelostoma now.
Okay.
So Claire will alert us. So I'm going to flip to Mike's guide, and I'll have our guide is open somewhere, I think, too. And actually, I'm going to go to pictures first here. There we go. So the basic vibe here is about the size of Heriades. It's also a little, what? Any tubercles on carinata, male or female?
I've
never looked.
I can't remember, actually.
Okay, something for everyone to investigate and report back. I think that's good homework out there. Can't rely on the three of us for everything. Okay, so Chelostoma also nests in these tiny little holes, usually like powder post beetle size. It's small, but it's super skinny, and essentially telling it from what would it be? Maybe hoplitis comes down to, and I think I have a This is Philadelphi. The head is very long too, but if you look at these species, this ratio between tegular and length of scutum equals skinny. I don't know what the exact ratio is. It's in the Discover Life Genera Guide. Mike, do you have another trick for telling Chelostoma?
Well, you know, it's got a dorsal component to the propydium, kind of Heriades-like, whereas Hoplites doesn't.
Oops.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and there's no, in Heriades, there'd be a carina that would line the face and sharply define the face on on T1 that is looking at, I guess that'd be the anterior face, that'd be looking at the propodium here. And this is simply rounded.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
The one of the introduced ones, which we'll talk about, is really unlike our native. It's big. It really does look like a Hoplites superficially. It's big. It's big like Hoplites spoliata, and it's just not quite as skinny as Philadelphi. Anyway, we'll talk about that one.
Yeah. So these are the propodial pits, or they're really square and big. So that's on all of them, Mike?
Well, I mean, it's a big group. I can't recall the Western ones or anything, but for the ones around here, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, yeah, we have one native and two introduced. The native, this is a mystery that Mike and I have talked about before. So the native species is always in collections and just in general talk associated with the shrub genus Philadelphus. However, I could be wrong. I haven't looked up anything lately. The Philadelphus it's associated with is a European Philadelphus, mock orange. And gosh, find a mock orange and you're going to find this species. But in both Mike and our collections here, we found several Chelostoma philadelphi in a trap or randomly. I don't have associations with any particular species out in the middle of nowhere. It's like there is no mock orange near here. And there is native Philadelphus. However, they're in mid-Atlantic area. They're very rare, associated with the mountains, not here anywhere. So what else they're using is a little tricky.
Yeah, in the Midwest, I've collected them from blackberries, from hydrophyllum, from iodanthus. I mean, a bunch of native plants, and miles from any Philadelphus.
Yeah.
And even later, after Philadelphus is out of bloom, we are still collecting these things, males and females. In I'll just say the middle of nowhere, off native plants, and there's a subtle, very subtle, and maybe I'm imagining a difference between the male genitalia between the mock orange form and ones we find in other plants.
Oh, really?
And but I may be imagining it. It's so subtle
don't take it to the bank.
It's so subtle that some days I don't see it. So it tells you something. But the other interesting thing is there was a paper that came out in Evolution. I sent this to you and Clare about 15 years ago. Yeah. Basically a review of all the world Chelostoma. And I did not know it, but there are a couple species in the old world in Europe that are specialists on Philadelphus.
Oh,
this was a kind of a systematic taxonomic review of the whole group, and the upshot of it is our Philadelphi is considered to be a species that belongs to this largely old world subgenus. So,
or is it old world species? Because gosh, how many crappy ships full of shot hole borers have traveled back and forth in the old days prior to this that would possibly had these. I don't know what the distribution is in Europe, but it just seems like almost inevitable. Like all kinds of powder post kinds of beetle holes, and you do that enough and you're going to get it. And oh, there's mock orange.
Yeah. So this is a candidate for some molecular work, I think. I mean,
Wow,
sure
that would be.
It sure looks like there's two separate species. I mean, it's hard to avoid that based on just their occurrence and flight periods and host plants, etc.
Yeah.
So I keep them separate for now. Anything that I get off of Philadelphus is in one box, and the others are in another.
Yeah. So you're basically separating them by floral capture.
Yeah, floral choice and time of year.
Yeah, and you can't find anything, for example, in the females that says,
nope.
Oh,
no. But that's maybe just we haven't looked hard enough, maybe.
All right. Mike has just set up everyone who wants a molecular project with big results. So just get in contact with Mike about that. Okay, so the unfortunate thing is that I don't have on deck any of the non-native species. I've collected one, and I'll have a we'll go and see that species here. Oops, back to albums list. I think it's the rapunculus.
Rapunculi. Yep.
Yeah. I have, if for anyone's interested, on our Flickr page, I have species separated into, at least Eastern North America, separated into their own album. And there's actually a structure above that is tells information about them. So here's rapunculi, and it's hard to tell. You can't see it as bigger, but the head shape is quite different, and we'll probably refer back to this as we go into the guides. But let's flip to Mike's guide here, get the right one, and we'll let you introduce it, and I'll put in under the microscope. Where the heck is it? There it is. And we'll zoom up, and I will put on deck a philadelphi. But let me zoom this first. So I guess we'll just tackle the females. Okay. So Mike, if you want to talk about that, and while I get things together, and then the information's on the page, most people should have that too. So go ahead while I play around here.
So the two introduced species are rapunculi and campanularum, and they've been, I think they were first found on, in New York or on the East Coast back in the late 60s, maybe a little later than that. And now, I mean, in the Midwest, we found them in Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, I believe, but not in St. Louis, not in Kansas City. So I can't quite explain that. I don't know if they're really northern or what, but they are urban bees. I don't know of any records of them outside of a larger urban area in natural, what we would call natural habitat. So rapunculi is the bigger one, and superficially looks like, to me, a hoplites, just if you saw it on a flower. When you look at it under the scope, it does have a carina on the back of the head and down about midway along the behind the cheeks. The other ones don't have any trace of that. So that's a pretty conspicuous difference, and it's bigger than the other two, notably. And it's got fascia on the tergites, which the others hardly had any to speak of. So it stands out.
All right, I'm going to flip to the females here. Here is rapunculi that I collected along up in New York somewhere. And you can see here's the fascia, the white hair bands. We can bump this up. I wonder if we can see, oh, I guess we can. Here's the carina right there. We can't see it go under, but did you say it's not going under the gena or the cheek very far?
It goes about halfway down.
Okay.
And then peters out, yeah.
So
but the others have nothing like that at all. So
these are often subtle to see, these little carina. So I'm actually pretty happy that we can even get a hint that it's there. And so the fascia, you're right, it seems more robust. Let's take a look at a couple other. There's the head. I think that the classic, which I think I got from the paper that Eichward maybe put together, was ratios of was it mandible head length and mandible length? Let's see. Let's go back to the guide. That are a little tricky. Right. Oh, here we go. We're up there. I think I have to load the Chelostoma one.
While you're doing that, I'm going to read this,
Claire.
chat from Laurel regarding the Philadelphia species. Many European plant seeds arrived on American shores by traveling across the Atlantic in the dirt ballast of ships, which was dumped at American ports after docking. Then weeds spread westward from the East Coast.
So I don't know if people heard that, but Laura mentioned, and I assume this is in the chat, that ballast was often dumped from these wooden ships in the early days in the dock areas, and different weed seeds and other things that were in the ballast spread from there. So there was transportation. Okay, so Chelostoma. So yeah, female head here, if you take a look here, I think it's mandible length compared to the length of the eye. And one is a lot longer. Which one is that?
Philadelphi. The
Okay.
mandibles are ridiculous, really. I mean, nothing looks like it.
Right, we'll get rid
really
of the males here. Okay, so that's why the head looks so different. So, oh, wait, sorry, should be the females. We can get rid of the males. So Philadelphia, you say Philadelphia or Philadelphi?
I say Philadelphi. I don't know if I'm right. That's just what I say.
So, okay, so we have long versus shorter mandibles. And if we go back to our photograph here, have a shorter mandible compared to the length of eye. Was there other characters here that we need to look at, Mike?
I think those are the main things for the females.
Okay.
The other thing is the propodial dorsal component is not as cleanly demarcated in rapunculi as it is in the others. So which makes it even look more like Hoplitis.
Yeah, right. So
it's
here,
there, but it's not clear. It's not as clean as the other two.
Yeah. So if you recall from the picture of Philadelphia, there was these were large, very blocky Heriades-like kind of things. And this is, you can't even really see cells very easily, or it's ambiguous as to whether there's cells there in the propodial area. And did you say that there was a difference here in T1?
You know, I think there is, but I didn't spell it out.
Yeah, it does. This does look like perhaps there's a shinier face to it. You know, the expectation is if you start looking and doing comparisons, you'll find that they look different in a number of ways. And so you just pick a few key. Can you see the carina there?
Oh yeah, look at that. Perfect.
Look at that right there. And you can see it all the way into the back too. So cool. Should have been using these pictures a long time ago. All right. So that then separates it from Philadelphia and campanularum. And both of these are interesting. Both the introduced species are campanula users. And my impression is that we have native campanula, but there's a lot of this northern distribution for these two is on, I believe it's a European species that is pretty common. We don't have it down here. Do you know anything about that, Mike?
Well, I mean, at least in the Midwest, there are a lot of, I'll just call them cultivars or kinds of campanula that are showing and planted, and so they're exotic, and presumably that's what the bees are using. But I don't know. I'm not aware of any really good host plant data on either of these in the U.S. So I mean, I think most of the ones I've seen are in bowls.
Yeah.
And so I don't know about you got to wonder what they're using actually. So.
Yeah. So there's I think the investigation of campanula, the flower group would be interesting in itself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And if it was done in these same areas, and there are introduced species and cultivars and gardens potentially having these, we would get a little bit of a better picture of that whole species group's role in hosting different bees.
Do you know if either of those is in Philadelphia? Either of the introduced species, Sam? Any idea?
In Philadelphia? So yeah. I don't think so. We don't have any records, for example, for Maryland.
Okay.
And my impression is that they were identified originally in upstate New York.
Yeah.
And they haven't moved south a whole lot. So they're probably in the hill country mountain area, unglaciated portions of Pennsylvania, but maybe not in Philadelphia. So campanularum, and is this one that you're seeing in the Midwest now?
Nope. Well, yeah, Chicago, Detroit. Yeah, I guess that would be Midwest. Not in Minneapolis. I mean, the Bees of Minnesota publication will be coming out shortly, and it was pretty thorough, and neither of those showed up in the Twin Cities, which
cool.
We thought it. I don't know why it's not there. Chicago's not that far away, and it's northern, but they're not there. So these introduced species, it's curious where they show up and where they don't, and maybe they're there at a low level. We just can't detect them. I don't know.
You would think that they might jump around quite a bit because of their hole nesting.
Yeah. Well, look at Anthidium manicatum.
Yeah.
And some of them just explode across the landscape. Others don't.
Yeah. Yeah, the Osmia.
Oh, Taurus.
Taurus, cornifrons stuff. And fast.
Yes. Incredibly fast.
All right, I'm pulling up Philadelphi again, which is, again, the only specimen I have. This is the female. You can see the long mandibles here. And I'm looking for this tubercle that you mentioned in your thing. And maybe covered with pollen. But let's see.
Yeah, the labrum, like a lot of megacylids, the labrum is very long in Chelostoma philadelphi, and very long. And at the very tip, it's got this prominent.
Oh, it's at the tip.
Yeah, are very close to the tip. And I mean, it's not a little tiny thing. It's they use mud in their nests to make demarcate cells, so it might have something to do with collection and transport of mud.
Okay, I'm looking at my other scope here, and I may be able to show that. Oh, it's quite. Yeah, it's almost like a big built-out projection.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's try and get that shot in here. We're looking at a 100-plus-year-old specimen from the Washington, D.C. area.
Wow.
Yeah, there's so much in the national collection. That's one of our next jobs. We're in the middle of doing the Bees of Maryland here, and once that's complete, we'll want to, because nothing's data-based there, or almost nothing, is take a look and see if we can find, get a record of what was found about 100 years ago, and then compare it to our records, because we, in many ways, act very similar to the collectors of yore, if we're out and about, we're snagging bees, and we're like, hey, this would be a very cool area. It's got rare plants, and so let's hunt some bees down. So I think it'll be a good comparison. It's different from a lot of other modern comparisons where you're comparing old timers information with modern ecological or agricultural ventures, and in pan traps a lot of times. So you get different results that are almost impossible to interpret. All right, so I've got I'm very slowly focusing here, out of focus apparently. The labrum is super long. I have very small focal area here. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. Oops. So mandibles, this is the hypostomal cavity. The tongue is partially everted here. This is the labrum, unusually long. So most species, right, it's hidden by the mandible essentially. So here it is sticking out, and here's this bump at the bottom, this tubercle. So that's present in Philadelphi and not in campanularum. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Can you point that?
So it's right here. I guess I'll try. So it's at the very tip. That's sort of the key. So this stuff is the tongue sneaking around, or the tongue parts sneaking around the labrum, which is not really part of the tongue. Or is it? Is it considered part of the tongue?
No.
Okay. And I'm going to see if I can change this a little bit and get a different shot of the area so we can see it better. Let's dip this up. Oh, that might work. So again, we're looking at the end of the labrum, away from the mandibles. I'm going to go in and get some more light. It's in the shadow right now. I just have very sensitive amounts of focus stuff. All right, so turn that off. Let's go up to I'm going to leave it like that, which is definitely blowing this out, but perhaps we can see it. And it's also small beef, so we're having a harder time seeing these fine characters. So it would be down here. I think the tongue is perhaps shading it a little.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah. I'm going to not try anymore if we can't see it here. Oh gosh, it's so tricky to focus this thing today.
We've got a response back from Laura that we can find.
Okay. And just at the limits of the ability to focus at that small dot. What was Laura's suggestion, Claire?
Has to do with IT.
IT?
Yeah.
Okay, so not today. So this is the area right there. We won't spend a whole lot more time. It's just lagging too much, and the tongue is partially in the way. So we'll stop. And I'm going to change the light back to something reasonable.
And another real obvious difference between those two, and the females anyway, the mid-base tarsi is really long, really super long in Philadelphi, and only half as long in campanularum. And that's, you know, pretty obvious, unless the legs are broken.
Yeah, I think that's in the online guide too. And we will, Francis is working diligently at getting some of your characters online when he in between his other job. So that's happening. So this kind of information will be there too. Okay, so what else do we have to talk about here? So that was interesting. I had not looked at the tubercle. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm pulling a male now of Philadelphi, and we will look at the rear end, which in each three, I think, have a very different T7
T7,
probably.
Yep.
So you might talk about that, and I'm on Discover Life. There's some drawings too, but
Yeah,
I'm trying to get this on.
In these three species, the T7 is usually pretty readily visible. You usually don't have to pull it out or do anything under the scope. You usually can see enough of it so that it by itself, it's all you need to see. So it's a very useful characteristic. The other thing is in the occipital carina is present in the rapunculi males. It's also present and absent in the other two. So.
Okay.
I guess what we didn't.
And I have some male rapunculi pictures here. Oh, let me make this expanded. It's weird lag time on this computer. Can't even tell what I'm doing right now. There we go. There we go. Stop. Okay. So it does, similar to Heriades, often have a bit of a curl to the rear end, but not as bad, but my impression. And jack this up to 5. It's dark, but you're looking for 4 points here, if I remember right.
Yep. 2 big ones in the middle and then 2 small lateral ones.
So we could add a little more light, but you can see one on these are the lateral. Here's the 2 central ones. That a little bit better in focus. Notch in the middle, 2 separate ones. And then Mike probably has descriptions, but we can flip now to the Discover Life guide and should be able to see. Why is that there? Okay, that's in the way. What the heck? We want that there. There we go. It's gone. Okay. The Chelostoma guide, and if we look at the ID guide, I guess I don't have one of the species, the bidentate one, but here we have the Philadelphi. Let's get rid of that. Observation, and it's the males, so get rid of the females. So that's what we were just looking at, the four-pointed one. And then the other 2, let's see, this trilobed thing. This, I think this is rapunculi, right? Do I have that right?
The truncate one, yes. Yep.
Yeah, so that's super different. And then I don't have a picture of the bidentate other one or a drawing, but we'll go to Mike's key here. So go ahead.
Yeah, the campanularum has two medial teeth like Philadelphi, but no lateral teeth. And it's the lateral parts are just, there's nothing sticking out. It's just smooth.
Yeah.
The
So
other thing we hadn't mentioned is campanularum is tiny, like some Philadelphi. So size-wise, those two can be very similar. Whereas rapunculi is almost, all the ones I've ever seen are notably bigger than either of those two.
Yeah, and I've not ever collected campanularum. I mean, a lot of campanula are quite small flowers, so it makes sense. So you have here and rapunculi, you have the accipitral carina, the T7 thing that we were just looking at. S3 has CT on it. I don't think we have pictures of that, but that also sounds
they're
quite
pretty
distinct.
It is, yeah. Two little patches.
Yep. So Philadelphia and campanularum, no CT, and has at least prongs in the central area. You can tell the two other species apart by the differences in the what am I trying to say? The T7 projections at the end. Let's see, you have flagellar segment differences.
Yeah, those segments are in Philadelphi are longer and less in campanularum or less so. And it's not, not something you need to measure. It's pretty obvious.
Okay. Yeah, we can put that one up. And yeah, so that should be it. This is all that we have on deck for today. We'll take a look at our male rapunculi pictures, see if that helps any. And I'm going to get the antennal segments here.
So for those of you in the eastern U.S., if you want to find Chelostoma philadelphi, find mock orange in bloom, and the males often sleep overnight in the flowers, and the mock orange flowers have a big, pretty thick bundle of stamens in the center, and the males can get buried in there, and you hardly even see them. But it's almost like Sam said, almost a guarantee. If you find mock orange in bloom, at least in the Midwest, there's a very high likelihood of you finding the bee.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about mock orange is in the hydrangea family. So one wonders whether some of the wild hydrangeas, particularly in the mountains, might also host this species. Or maybe we'll call it the possibly American one versus the European one. It'd be interesting to see, have you been able to determine whether the European species that use mock orange would key out to Philadelphia?
Yeah, Andreas Mueller has a website where he details. I don't think there's an identification component to it, but there's a lot of other detailed information. Yeah. And so I was thinking about emailing him and seeing.
Well, he's done a lot of molecular work, so I think he would be. I've sent him specimens in the past, so he'd be a target for getting specimens sent. I think that would be very interesting. Also, they have an atlas, a European bee atlas. It seems like it's done in sections, like some are well populated and others are not. And usually there's pictures too, so that'll be curious. Okay, so here's this essentially we're just showing that it has long antennal segments on the antennae in comparison. So I don't have a whole lot more here. Are there questions?
There are not.
There are no questions according to Claire.
Feel free to unmute at this point if you want to ask a question.
Can't think of anything else to add. Is rapunculi, I think the one that I collected was basically out in the countryside, not in the city.
Well,
Does rapunculi get picked up a lot in cities too, in the same kind of urban garden?
Oh, totally. Chicago and Detroit, yes. I mean, those are the only places I've seen them is in large metro areas in the Midwest. And we've been doing a lot of collecting in the greater St. Louis metro area over the past several years, a lot of it, and neither one has shown up.
Yeah. I can't remember if it's shown up in Cleveland. I looked at a bunch of specimens there for a couple people's projects, and I don't recall either showing up there. But you would think that if it's in Detroit and in New York, that'd be in Cleveland. There's a bunch of other crazy introduced species there in Cleveland, like lots of megachile, centuncularis, and that kind of stuff. And a couple others I'm not quite remembering. Oh, that invasive or that new non-native Hylaeus. Jason documented it. Was all throughout the Cleveland metro area. Has it shown up in any of your cities that you've looked at?
Nope. The other two, leptocephalus, and the other.
Yeah.
Those, the Spatulirella groups, those are all there, but not the other one.
Yeah, we had a big jump down to like one got picked up in Richmond. So I have a feeling that in garden stock, pithy stems, who knows what, that it's going to get transported all over the place. Okay, so do we have a next group, Claire, on doc?
What did we say? I forget where we are with the megachile.
We haven't done Ashmediella, I know. Which is not, there's not a lot that I have of material, but I can track something down. It should be talked about.
Yeah. Did we do Precusa yet?
Did we do what? Sorry, Claire?
Precusa and Lethargus. Did we do that?
I don't think so.
Lythyrgopsis would be a good one.
Yeah, and Lethargus.
Yeah. Do you have that? Do you have Lythyrgus?
I do. Yeah. So I can tell the story at the time.
Yeah.
But I went back to the area that was first described by Robertson or Richard. Who was that guy? He was a halictid specialist. Agabin. Was it Robertson?
Yeah. Roberts.
Yeah. Roberts.
Yeah, Radcliffe Roberts. Yeah.
Where it had destroyed an entire building in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, and then had dropped out. Michener said, "Oh, probably gone now." And so I drove into town, Phillipsburg, and I'm like, where should I go? Railroads, right? So it's a crossroads of railroads for the coal industry and steel, I guess, coming out of the mines in Pennsylvania. So I get out and Main Street, there's a big railroad crossing, and I just get out. I walk, I go like, oh, there's a Centaurea patch, knapweed. I walk down there, and in like 2 minutes have 100 of that Lethargus tricerus. And then I just kept going. After I had ripped my net, so I had to stop and see a tailor for a little bit, but I kept going, and I found them all the way down to Princeton, and then none outside of Philadelphia. But I would think, I still don't have a Maryland record, but they're all the way to State College now. And I don't know about New York. It just seems like, again, it's inevitable because it's things now been figured out. It will nest in firewood. No, it's a carpenter bee, so it can deal maybe not with as hard a pine as the Virginia carpenter bee, but if it's relatively soft wood, it can go into it. So they had a problem with on the shores of Delaware River, I believe, on some historic structures that were timber frame, including a covered bridge and things like that. So yeah, it's been interesting, but still no records in Maryland yet, although I can't believe that it's not there.
And no records out here in Centaurea is dirt common.
Oh my gosh. just think of all the star thistle when you get out west.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know what its limits are.
Well, speaking of West, our friend Mary Busby, or I had forgotten her, not Mary name. Sorry. Yes, that would be great. I've reared some Lithrodopsis. Catherine, thank you. She's reared some that she'd like to ID species.
Lithrodopsis, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, well, send us some pictures and we can talk about them. Maybe we'll just dive right into Lithurgus Lithrodopsis. We have a bunch of little odds and ends things. Did we talk about Trichusa? Okay. I don't think so either. So that would be a good one, and you know, full of cool rare things. And okay, well, we'll figure it out. It sounds. I think it'd be fun to do Lithurgus and Lithrodopsis and see what happens. I should just continue that story. Richards documented that this house had basically all the exterior siding and the porch had been destroyed by, I guess, I don't want to call it a colony, but at least an aggregation of the species. And there was 3 inches of sawdust on the porch. So it was, and I can't believe that there's not something similar going down in that town to this day, because every place that I stopped that had knapweed, which was it's super weedy, so a fair number of places like coated with that bee. But I mean, if someone wanted to do a real work, they would just get in touch with the pest control people and see what their experiences are. But no one has, as far as I know. And our native, so they originally it was one genus, then they split the old world from the new world species. So our native species are now Lithrodopsis, which I have a hard time pronouncing. And as far as I know, none of them are excavators of old wood. Do you know where they nest, Mike?
Yeah, they're cavity nesters.
Okay.
They've been found. I mean, some of the western ones I think have been found in agave stems and things like that. But the eastern ones, I don't know that if there's any published account of nests for gibosa or littoralis. I can't recall. We'll find that out.
Do they have the ability to excavate through the sidewall of these stems?
I think so. Yes, I think so.
So that's pretty unusual. Most like Ceratina and other megs and whatnot who might want to nest inside a hollow stem of a plant or the pith don't seem to be able to excavate out or excavate a hole into these through the plant stem wall.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anything else, Mike?
I think that's it. So nothing next week.
Yep.
Following, and then I think we talked about having a wrap up of the family.
Yeah.
Following.
And then maybe people can submit pictures and things for Megachilidie, maybe. Oh, we haven't talked to. Did we go through all the osmia? I don't remember doing osmia. Oh, we did. I've repressed it. Okay. And so we've done Hippolytus and yeah, okay, I guess we have. Yeah, we're on the several year train on these species, that's for sure. All right, we'll have to bring in some Westerners too at some point. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Thanks,
Good
Claire.
To see everybody again.
Claire, can I ask a question?
Somebody wants to ask a question.
Yeah, so I try to click on the recording in the past, and then it goes to the website of the FWS or like a government website, and I don't have a login. So I forgot, how do I go back and watch the recordings?
Who put it in the chat? and I will email you. I'm also going to put the link for the external where you can watch them just on the web.
Yeah, so I think that the basic answer is they can always be watched like normal on Dan Carr's website. And maybe there's a problem with getting them. This is what I'm guessing your issue is, and that might be on the, what is that called? What is our system called? Teams
Yeah.
resource thing, which outsiders have a hard time sometimes getting access to. So it sounds like maybe Teams
Yeah,
is
so
not the
maybe
way
I
to
can
go.
get the link from the other website,
Yeah, from Dan Carr.
Dan
So
Cars.
yeah, okay. Yeah, it's KJAR, and if you do Carr and Bees or Carr and Maffei or Droege, it should jump right over there. There's a bunch of other stuff there too that might be of interest, but that's where sort of the public face of the recordings are. It's
Okay, well, I'll follow up with Claire then. Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you
You
so
bet.
much.
See y'all.
Okay.
Yeah.
See you, Mike. Oh, I left the